What is up, you guys? It is Zach coming at you with another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Mario Tennis Fever, as this game just got announced in the Nintendo Direct we had last week, and I really wanted to highlight this game because I personally, as many of you know, did not care for Mario Tennis Aces. I felt like it was a shell of a Mario Tennis game. And honestly, from what we're seeing with Mario Tennis Fever, I am having a much more optimistic outlook on this game. And I really sat and I was trying to think of why that is. It looks like it has a lot of similarities to Mario Tennis Aces. But at the same time, it actually does look like it takes a lot of inspiration from the Mario Tennis games in the past that I also really liked. So I'm going to talk today about why I'm kind of optimistic about Mario Tennis Fever. So if you enjoy this video and if you're also excited for Mario Tennis Fever, let me know down in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate to hear what you all have to say. Consider becoming a ZakPak member as well. I'll probably be covering this game up until its launch if that's something that you guys would be interested in. And without any further ado, let's just get right on into why I think this game might actually be really good. Before we can actually unpack why I think this game is going to be good, let's talk about what I personally thought Mario Tennis Aces' flaws were. This has been well documented on my channel in the past, but it's been a long time since I talked about Mario Tennis Aces, so let me recap why I did not care for Mario Tennis Aces. Firstly, the thing about the character roster is while the character roster for Mario Tennis Aces is actually really good now, it obviously wasn't always this big. The game started out with, I believe, 14 playable characters and eventually worked its way up to the 30 that we have now. And while the approach of adding characters after post-launch is nothing new for games, what I found kind of abysmal was two things. Firstly, the character roster was quite small at first. It was not a heavy roster, and obviously it doubled in size by the end of it, so obviously they did not launch with nearly enough characters. But what I also found frustrating is that there were certain characters that I feel like should not have been held back. There's this whole adventure mode that you got to play, which I'll talk about in a little bit, where you got to compete against certain characters. And for an example here, there's a level where you face off against Blooper, who is very clearly meant to be playable in the game, and he eventually was playable in the game. But the thing is, he very clearly had his whole moveset done. It felt like they were just holding him back for the purpose of holding him back and bringing you back to play the game to get him. There was no real way to authentically unlock characters in this game. It really felt like you had to just wait until Nintendo drip-fed you a character each month, and it really soured me on this game. Like I said, Blooper was there. He's in the game, so why can I not unlock him after I beat him? Why do I have to wait for Nintendo to drop him? And speaking of that adventure mode, I found the adventure mode to be very lackluster. It just felt like you were completing missions. It didn't feel like anything like what the original older Game Boy games had, where you had this fully fledged RPG mode, there's a lot to do, and sure, you didn't play as the Mario characters, but it did feel like it was part of the Mario world. There was actually things in there for you to do. You can build up your own characters. You eventually face off in this big Mario tournament. There's all this build-up to facing up against Mario. It really was an epic little RPG. And then, of course, the game was just unfinished in a lot of ways. I mean, literally, they added a cutscene to the beginning of Mario Tennis Aces about a year after the game came out because the original cutscene, opening cutscene to the game, was just so freaking bad. So all of these reasons really made me sour on Mario Tennis Aces. I personally have always liked the Mario Tennis games, but Aces, while it's definitely no Ultra Smash, was definitely, in my opinion, one of the weakest entries in the Mario Tennis series. So now we have Mario Tennis Fever coming out, and this seems to address a lot of those problems that I originally had with Mario Tennis Aces. Let's start with the obvious point being the characters. The trailer makes it a specific point to mention that there are 38 playable characters in this game, seemingly at launch, which, thank God, they're stopping the drip feed approach. It seems like Nintendo have learned their lesson from, I'm guessing, fan outcry. So that is also 8 more characters than Mario Tennis Aces. Now, I'm assuming that the 5 baby characters that we see in the trailer, being Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, Baby Wario, and Baby Waluigi, will all be playable characters in this game as well. That brings up the total to 35, assuming that they keep every character that was in Aces, which it does seem like they are keeping a lot of those characters. Even the oddball ones, like Chain Chomp and Blooper, seem to be coming back from Aces. So that still leaves at least 3 empty slots, again, assuming they don't cut anything from Aces. And I feel like certain characters, specifically like Fire, Piranha Plant, might be on the chopping block. We'll have to wait and see, but even so, getting 3 more characters on top of that would be pretty cool. Secondly, let's talk about the main gimmick of the game, being those fever racket things. The rackets that give you the abilities to use fire, ice, the mushrooms, etc. This seems like a true evolution of the power shots from Mario Power Tennis. Now, for those of you who don't know what those are, Mario Power Tennis had this cool gimmick where each character had their own specific power shot. You build up a meter, even though the meter isn't physically on screen. You eventually power up, and you can unleash either an offensive or defensive power shot. These shots, like I said, were unique to each character and really fitted them individually. And it seems like these fever rackets are kind of the same thing, except rather than being unique to the character, you could choose whichever racket you want to equip to your character. And personally, that feature actually reminds me of something that was in Mario Tennis Power Tour, the Game Boy Advance Mario Tennis game. In this game, in the RPG mode, you could take your character to a gym. And in this gym, there were different mini games that you can complete that basically gave you different power shots. Because Mario Tennis Power Tour had the power shots as well, that the GameCube version had. And for the Mario Cast, they had their power shots that were in the GameCube game. But for the human characters, they had a bunch of different, not really specific ones. And your character can basically choose whatever kind of power shot that you wanted to have based on the mini games that you complete at the gym. So this kind of feels like that, where you can kind of customize whatever kind of power shot that you want to have. So to me, this is actually really, really exciting, especially because all of these different fever rackets seem to have a really unique theme to each one of them. One freezes the field of your opponent. Another one will send out mushrooms to shrink your opponents. One will literally duplicate you and create a shadow doppelganger of you. There are 30 of these rackets that you can use, and I'm assuming you might unlock them through the story, which I'll get into in a little bit. But this seems like there's so much customization in how you play, and they don't seem super overpowered like that shot thing, whatever it was called in Aces, that would just completely knock out your opponent. It seems much more well balanced, and it feels more Mario. It feels more goofy and fun, and I really, really like it. Also, another point I want to plug in here that I didn't really mention before with Aces, but the courts in this game look much more inventive. Now, of course, we have these standard stadium courts, you know, the grass court in the stadium, whatever, that's in every Mario Tennis game. But there were some really, really cool ones thrown in there as well. There was this cool, like a Peach's Castle kind of outside themed court that I thought was really cool. But the even cooler court I thought was the Waluigi pinball themed court, which was obviously based around Waluigi pinball from Mario Kart DS. They seem to really like Waluigi having a pinball thing with him. But it's really cool. It's really cool to see unique and inventive stadiums that take inspiration from other Mario games. That's kind of what I've been wanting. And then, let's just go into the story mode, because this story mode really looks like it blends a lot of elements from Aces as well as the GBA game. In this game, you're adventuring around as the babies, as the main cast have all been turned into their baby counterparts, and they basically have to build themselves up back to where they were, and I'm assuming they eventually can turn themselves back into their regular forms. What I love about this is that it takes an element that I really liked from the RPG mode in Power Tour, which is you start as your character and they are very novice. They don't have anything special about them. They're not very strong. And then throughout the game, since it's an RPG, you level them up, you make them stronger, and they rise through the ranks. And it seems like it's going to be kind of the same thing here, except you're playing as the baby characters. Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, whoever. I guess maybe you can choose your character. Whichever, you basically play them, and they said themselves that these babies start with no real abilities. enemies. They're not very strong, and you build that throughout the story, and I really like that. And something I'm really hoping, is that you can unlock characters through the story. This is not something that's confirmed, but this is a hope that I have for the game, is that you can unlock a lot of the characters in the roster through the story, because we see a bunch of Mushroom Kingdom characters, you know, scattered around this story mode, and I would love to be able to unlock them through actually playing the story mode. I know I've been burnt on both Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush's story modes in the past, but I really do have high hopes that they've listened to a lot of the feedback and criticisms that people like myself have had about these past sports games. I mean, they've addressed one of the biggest issues, and we know that, being the character roster size. We know that. So I'm really leaning in hope that, you know, we can see things like actual unlockable characters in the game. Maybe the courts will be as well. They actually were unlockable through the story mode in the original Mario Tennis Aces, but even still, having even more things they can unlock, like I said, like the Fever Rackets. I think those would be really cool to see actually be unlockable through the game. Just starting off with not too much, maybe 15 or 16 characters, and then being able to double the size of that as you play the game. That would be super cool, and I do have a lot of high expectations for this game. So that's why I personally really think that Mario Tennis Fever looks really good. I'm hoping that it lives up to my personal expectations of it, because, like I said, I was burned with Aces, and I was burned with Mario Golf Super Rush as well. So I'm really hoping that Camelot can go back to their roots of how they were back in the N64, GameCube, Game Boy Advance days, and bring that to 2025. And this entry of Mario Tennis looks inventive enough for me to at least be interested and to be more optimistic. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate to hear what you all have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely drop a like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff down below. And like I said, consider becoming a ZakPak member. It would truly mean a lot to me. And until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.